Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this vitally important conversation on the new global order, investing in humanity. The world, as Richard just told us, is awash with challenges. He laid out our top priorities, and in the next 3 days, we're going to be discussing solutions through technology, through finance, through policy. But above all, our priority is and must be people. That's what all of this is about. And that's why we named this opening session, Our Humanity, Our Priority. We've made great progress. Over 1 billion people have risen out of extreme poverty in the last 3 decades. But many still struggle with the escalating cost of living, social inequalities, unemployment, and weak social protection systems. Pandemic and war have only worsened these challenges. We can do better, and we must do better if humanity's progress is to continue. So, we have 3 very distinguished speakers with me today. Thank you so much for coming along. Your Excellency, former Prime Minister of Bhutan, His Excellency Dasho Tshering Tobgay. We also have Nobel Peace Prize Laureate from 2011, here from Liberia, Leymah Gbowee. Thanks for coming. And also Nobel Peace Prize Laureate from 2014, Kailash Satyarthi. Thanks so much. So I want to ask each of you to start to share a brief thought, if you will, on the most important step we could and should be taking to invest in humanity. Leymah, let's start with you.
Am I a bad student in class that I always get caught up first? I think one of the first things we can do is to begin to reduce the gap in humanitarian funding or financing. I was having a conversation with my daughter, and she said from time immemorial, growth in terms of businesses has been here, and sustainability has been here. I want to replace sustainability with humanity for this conversation. We live in a time where we've seen all kinds of innovation. Robots can talk. We don't need people to do some of the things. Our phones can do everything for us. We are progressing, but humanity is going on this side. And I think in order for us to really begin to get to where we need to get to is to start to do realignment. And some of the basic realigning things we can do is begin to put our money where our mouths are. We can't continue to say, oh, we love our collective humanity and we give peanuts to those things that will lift people up. That kind of investment also means investing in local communities. I've seen over the years all these big conferences where people go and send billions of dollars and say it's for this thing, it's for that thing. But basically you go back into communities where you have the needs. Nothing's going there. It's not trickling. So what are we doing wrongly? We need to begin to think about that. And I can say more as we go on, but I don't want to take over my handsome brothers here.
Your Excellency, what would you say?
Investing in humanity, investing in our future. I want to begin by thanking Your Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman for allowing us to have this very important conversation. And also very quickly thank His Excellency Yasser El Rumayyan and Richard Atias and all the wonderful people at FII for congratulate you for taking us forward. Well, where would I invest in to secure humanity? I would invest in the world, because we need a viable place to live in for our future. If you want to invest in humanity, you invest in the world. And as an environmentalist, I've been quite passionate about this. However, I've gone through the priorities report that Richard Atias mentioned. And there, the priority of the people is cost of living, unemployment, poverty, so on and so forth. And environment, global warming comes a distant number 8.
Were you surprised about that?
Yes, I was surprised, but it gave me hope also. What it told me is that you have to address the needs of the people current needs of the people if you want to take care of climate change, fight climate change, take care of our planet, take care of the environment. You can't just expect everybody to become environmentalists if their immediate needs are not met. It gave me also hope from two other perspectives. One is that when you look at the richer countries, for them, global warming is number 2, not number 7, not number 8. So it means that if we can achieve a certain level of prosperity, then we, all of us, would be more aligned towards fighting climate change. The other reason for hope is look at our world today. We have our global GDP is $100 trillion. I mean, coming from a poor country, huh? But the global GDP is $100 trillion. Our global population is 8 billion. Per capita GDP globally comes to almost $13,000. We have the means for common prosperity, and common prosperity is required to fight climate change. So I would invest in fighting climate change, invest in the planet, but I'm fully aware, because of the findings of the priority report, that for that to happen meaningfully, you have to invest in the people first.
All right. Kailash, what about you? What was the most important step we could and should be taking to invest in humanity?
As the title of this summit or conference is the Future Investment Initiative, we all say children are our future, children are our future. But are we really investing in that future? Are we really investing in childhood? Everything can wait, but not the childhood. Ladies and gentlemen, think of your own childhood. You had an opportunity to go to school. You were protected. You had some healthcare facility. So today you are sitting here and talking of the future of the world and the new world order. But today I am speaking on behalf of millions of those children, rather hundreds of millions of those children who don't have their childhood. They are pushed into slavery and prostitution and so on. So first of all, we have to invest in childhood if we are investing in future. And two simple answers. One is that we have to give fair share for children. Fair share in budgetary allocations, fair share in policies, and fair share in social protection programs. We think that if these things are solved, children will go to school on their own and they will live their childhood fully. But this is not happening. So fair share for children.
Okay.
What needed is $53 billion additional money to ensure education, healthcare, and protection for children in all low-income countries, along with protection for new mothers, $53 billion. And this is less than 10 days of global military expenditure. This is less, not less, but little more than 1% of what the Europeans, the G7 countries, spend on their own social protection programs. So this cannot be justified. If we have to think of a new world order, which is based on humanity, then we have to invest in humanity. We have to invest in children to begin with. And therefore, my second answer is, we have to globalize compassion.
Globalize compassion.
We have globalized everything, but this is the time. And I refuse to accept that the people sitting here with lot of knowledge, lot of wealth, lot of power, they are also the ocean of compassion. They have compassion inside each one of them. God cannot be, Allah cannot be so meager to give you a handful of compassion. We have that ocean inside us. So let us globalize compassion. And for that, we have to inculcate compassionate leadership. Compassionate leadership in businesses, in society, in politics, even in the faith institutions. That is one. Compassionate leadership building. Second thing is that we have to create a supply chain of gratitude. Yeah. We are sitting here in this beautiful place. There are so many people, the workers, laborers, electricians, hotel people are responsible for that. I'm wearing those clothes. There are so many tailors and workers, so many people. So our food, everything, if we are rich, it's because of so many people working for this wealth. So we have to create a supply chain of gratitude in the society and inside us also. And the last thing I would like to say, that we have to learn that since this world is not only interconnected but also interdependent, so in the language of technocrats, I would say that let us create an internet of responsibility. Internet of things have been created. Internet of responsibility. We are living in the age of algorithms, and we are fighting with each other because we cannot tolerate diversities. So let us create the algorithm of diversities among the religions and ideologies and thoughts and so on. And this way, we can definitely globalize compassion, combining with investing in our future means investing in our children.
Interesting. So, Leymah, let's build on what we heard from Kailash there. And there's a consensus in the development world that the single most important step that we can take towards a better world is to educate women and girls. And that seems to fit very well with your 2011 Nobel Prize, bringing Christian and Muslim women together to end conflict. So if we know how important women are to global human progress, why aren't we making faster progress at educating and empowering them?
Well, I think because we are at a place in our world where we are consistently thinking that we can give peanuts to those things that should be transformed, or using the words of a wise person, using old strategies to conquer new wars. Women have always been seen as the weaker vessel. Women have always been seen as less than in most places. Women have always been seen as not so important. And there is this consistent say where we are trying. Every time you go to meetings, you have to make a case on why women should be at the peace table, girls should be in school. But for this audience, and this is a very intelligent audience, just think about it. We're all sitting here, and all of you are focused on this stage. Cover your one eye and try to see everything on this stage. You miss something. You either miss Edie, or miss the former prime minister, or miss Kailash, or miss me. And that's how our world is operating. We're operating with one eye covered, thinking that one gender can do everything. And I think for the men in this room, it must be a bit exhausting to think that you know it all, or to even begin to, people always saying you should do this. I think we can't make that statement more. I've been doing this work for over 25 years, and I'm sick and tired of saying we need to invest in girls. We need to invest in girls. We need to invest in women. It should be as easy as breathing.
Hear, hear.
It should be as easy as breathing. I sit here because there was a father who had 5 daughters, refused to be shy that he didn't have sons, educated us, gave us a voice. No one, I didn't think I would be a Nobel Peace Prize winner, but I was given a chance. And I think not just giving women chance, but investing in women. There are many Fortune 500 companies in this room. How much are you giving to girls' education? And many of the very wealthy, very influential men have daughters. Imagine if your daughter was being held back. And Edie, let me just quickly say, I've been in Saudi Arabia since Sunday, and I've been working on this case since I came. A little girl was kidnapped in a village in Liberia, forcibly cut FGM. She's in a hospital. We're raising money to take care of her. The perpetrator is walking free. And this is not just this girl's story.
Yeah.
The cultural practices, the legal injustices that happens to women. I was in India. Kailash launched the End Child Marriage campaign.
Yeah.
Millions of girls are taken out of school and they are married off to men older to be their grandfather. All of these issues are issues that we're still confronting.
Yeah.
And if we are to invest in a world that is going to take us to where we need to get to, we need to invest in women. And besides, we don't have to consistently make the case.
Yep.
The case sits right in front of you. It sits here with Edie. It sits here with me. It sits here with women in this country and women in other countries. Investing in girls and women is investing in a better and a brighter world. And we cannot continue to make this case. This is a case that has been made.
Hear, hear. So, another big topic, Your Excellency. We live in an age of disillusionment with politics in some parts of the world. The UK, where I live, the US, where I'm from, and you played a really essential role in creating a democratic Bhutan. I wonder, is there a lesson in your work that can rekindle public faith around the world in government so that they can get on with the work of solving all of our challenges?
We need more Nobel laureates to take leadership roles in politics and government. Yeah, it's on the one hand, as a world, we've come so far. There's so much prosperity. On the other hand, the irony is there's so much distrust in government. And this irony should be resolved. However, one thing that we learned in Bhutan is that our founding father, 400 years ago, he said that if a government cannot create happiness for its people, that government does not deserve to exist. That government should not exist. This was 400 years ago. And our enlightened monarchs have also said, for Bhutan, gross national happiness is more important than gross national product. So I think it's an attempt to balance what's important in life with material progress. The priority report is very interesting because it gives us an insight into what's important in people's lives. And it gives governments, if they were to pay attention, a guide as to what to do in order to fulfill their hopes and aspirations of their own people. If they do that, and I must say that I'm a failure at that, but if governments listen to their people and read reports like the priority report carefully, internalize it, and implement policy, I think there would be a lot more trust on governments. Finally, governments all over the world and politicians all over the world must ask ourselves, what is the purpose of government? It is not an end in itself. The purpose is to create happiness and well-being among its people.
I'd love to stay more on that. I want to get a couple more points out of each of you. Leymah, you've proposed we redefine war and peace. And you've said peace is not just the absence of war. Explain what you mean.
So most times people tend to think that peace is sign the peace agreement, boom, everything is over. Go back, Edie, go back, everyone in this room, do an analysis of why we fight wars anyway. Inequalities, disadvantage, laws that are oppressive. So if we end the fighting, have we ended the problem? So peace is not just the absence of war. Peace is the presence of conditions that dignifies each and every one in this world. And that we're at the Future Investments Summit or initiative or summit, whatever we call this, we all need to invest in peace, creating conditions that dignifies the lives of people. Ending wars is important. I push and preach for ending wars in places that are impacted for decades. Syria, Yemen, South Sudan. Those wars will end. But as they end, we should also consider creating conditions for girls' education, for women's rights, for men to be able to go to work and buy food for their families, health care. All of those things that makes life good is peace.
Okay. Kailash, many people are just exhausted with the world's challenges. They're too daunting. But you say a hummingbird has a lesson for us.
Thank you. I can add a sentence here, what she said. Last week we were together in Delhi, and there was a smaller group, and she asked this question to me, that what is peace for you, Kailash? And I know that she has a definition of peace. But I said that in all my life I experienced that when a child a girl who was born and grew up in extremely appalling conditions anywhere in the world is able to smile freely, fearlessly. And when that girl can dream, and we create an ecosystem to fulfill her dream, that is peace for me, in addition to what. So that's why my sister and me stayed together for almost 3 weeks in Delhi with the group of children in our ashram. So I refuse to accept that any one of us are born without purpose, without power, without compassion, without possibilities. So there is no reason to become hopeless. When I started my fight against child slavery, it was such a dark thing. Nobody was fighting on it, and that was so risky. So the hummingbird, you mentioned, when I was invited to give my Nobel acceptance speech, and I was standing on the dais, I was carrying the written papers to read or to refer at least. But somehow I lost some of the pages, some papers. So suddenly a story came to my mind. It was a funny situation because everybody was nervous, and it's, you can imagine that it never happened in the Nobel podium, as they say. I read a story in my childhood. There was a heavy fire broken out in jungle. All animals and birds were rushing out for a safer place, leaving the jungle, including King Lion. And Lion noticed that there was a tiny hummingbird flying towards the flame, straight to the flame. And Lion surprisingly shouted, "What are you doing, committing suicide? Come back." She said, "No, sir. I am going to extinguish this fire. Because I was born and grew up in this jungle, I cannot leave it like that. This is my purpose." More surprisingly asked that, "What nonsense, come back, committing suicide." She said, "Sir, I am doing my bit. I cannot go back. This was the purpose of her life." And that day I said that each one of us has a hummingbird inside us. But we keep on suppressing her. Many a times we wanted to do something better for the world, better for the humanity. We wanted to invest in humanity, time, energy, wisdom, money, whatever, power. But something stops us. So my friends, think of that hummingbird. Think of that hummingbird inside each one of you. You will make this world better, no one else. Time is now. Time is now. This is the place, and we are the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us here. Thanks. One more round of applause for my magnificent panel. Thank you.